Well, just moments after the Supreme Court's ruling yesterday upholding one of the most controversial aspects of Arizona's immigration law, that which allows police to inquire into a person's immigration status in certain cases, the Obama administration announced that it will now suspend all agreements allowing Arizona cops to enforce federal immigration law. These have been in place for a while, no longer. The feds have already trained some 1,500 Arizona law enforcement officers on how they can help enforce existing federal immigration law. But the Homeland Security Secretary says effectively those services are no longer welcome. Joe Arpaio joins me now. He's sheriff of Maricopa County. Sheriff Joe, they've suspended the agreement they had with you a while back, and now they've suspended those agreements throughout the state of Arizona, saying the help of the Arizona sheriffs and law enforcement that they have essentially helped train on the taxpayer's dime to help enforce the existing law, not your controversial law, the federal existing law, no longer necessary or required. Your reaction?
Well, you know, that's sad. That came the day that the Supreme Court came out with their ruling. Timing is suspected here. You know how they operate in Washington. But it's a sad day for law enforcement. All we're trying to do is help the federal government. They want to sever the ties because they don't want them to call ICE or be able to make decisions. They want law enforcement, when they come across any illegal aliens now, to have to call, and they're going to turn them down. They're not going to even pick up the illegal aliens, according to their policy yesterday. But I'll tell you one thing, we've been enforcing the state laws for 4 years. In my office, we're not going to stop. We've been very successful, so we don't need the federal government. We have state laws that we are enforcing. But it's
let
nice
me jump
to
in.
have the federal government.
Let me jump in and ask you whether, how this works as a practical matter, because you're much more familiar with it than we are. The part of the law the court upheld yesterday said law enforcement officers, when they pull somebody over, routine traffic stop, that kind of thing, if they have reasonable suspicion that this may be an illegal immigrant, they can inquire into that person's immigration status. That law still stands, but the High Court said, but that may turn out to be unconstitutional if you detain that person for longer than it would have taken just to write them the ticket for the speeding or the red light or whatever. Keep them there too long, it could be illegal. You have to rely on the feds. When you're checking the license and registration, aren't you calling the feds to say, all right, is Joe Smith, is this person here illegally or not? If the feds want to make that stop take extra long before they get back to you with the information, thus causing constitutional problems, they can do it, can they not?
Yeah, I guess they could, but the worst part of it is they may not respond to pick up the illegal aliens. They have a new policy, only felons and murderers and that type of category. So what happens when we stop these people with no state charge? We call the feds and they say, no, we're too busy. What do? Let them back on the streets? I guess that's what's going to happen, and that's sad. I'm going to have to try to work around this, come up with some my own ideas within the Constitution and the laws. But this, the government is now trying to cut our throats here in Arizona. Holder just took me to court on alleged profiling. They had this information for 3.5 years. Why did they wait till last month to take me to court?
Yeah, you got your own dispute going with the Department of Justice. But I want to talk to you. So there's a couple ways where you get involved with the feds. One, you call them if you do this routine traffic stop, et cetera, and you suspect the person may be an illegal immigrant. So then they have to respond by phone. We'll see how long it takes them. If they take too long, you could be in a constitutional problem. Number two, if the person does turn out to be an illegal immigrant, they are now saying publicly that they don't care unless the person is a convicted person, is a convicted criminal. If they already have a criminal conviction on their record or they've already been deported. Those are the main two reasons that they actually will respond. Short of that, if the person's been arrested 3 times for murder but never convicted, they're not going to respond.
Well, this is Amnesty. We know what's going on. You heard the policy of the president last month. On the DREAM Act. Now we have this policy coming up. Now they're putting us in handcuffs and trying to take any cooperative efforts that we try to work with the feds. So they're kind of angry at Arizona. I guess they're angry at me. Reverend Sharpton led 10,000 people against me. wanted me to resign. I can go on and on. I seem to be the target from the White House down, but we're not going to surrender. I'm going to keep doing what we've been doing, enforcing those human smuggling laws, raiding businesses. So nothing's going to change as far as my office is concerned.
How much effort, that Governor Brewer said there were 1,500 state and local officers who assisted in the enforcement of federal immigration law out there in Arizona. They'd been trained by DHS to help enforce this as existing federal law. Now they're told, no, we don't want you to do that. How much effort went into training those officers? How much, time, effort down the drain?
Well, we've had the largest, 200 of my officers, 100 deputies working the streets have been trained. And let me tell you, we're the most well-trained law enforcement in the United States. After 6 weeks intensive training by the federal government. And now they took away my authority last year because of politics. And now they're taking away some more authority from other law enforcement organizations in the state. And that's sad. We ought to be working together and trying to solve this problem.
Sheriff Joe, thank you for your thoughts on it, sir.
Thank you.
All the best. We're taking your thoughts.